Hey everybody, just wanted to come on at the beginning of this and remind you that these videos are sponsored by Guildhouse Games, the creators of Varia. If you want to get yourself the deck that you're about to see reviewed, or any of the decks from Season 2, please feel free to go to guildhousegamesllc.com/shop, and don't forget to use the code GEEKFORALL for 10% off. Thank you, and enjoy the video. What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with another, in fact, our penultimate, if you will, Season 2 Varia review deck videos, or deck review videos, however you prefer to say it. I'm not your mom, so you can say it however you want. We have a lot of conversations to have if everyone watching this video is your child. Anyway.
Oh, damn.
Yes, we are here for the Deathblood Sorcerer, as you can all see, and maybe you can already tell, this one could be a weird one. It could not be, who knows, but we will continue on with our series. The last video that we did of these, if you missed it, was the Boreal Ranger, this gentleman over here, Jiro, as we learned, and you can see that video up in the top corner there with the iCard. If you missed it, definitely go check it out. We have the full playlist on the channel as well if you want to see more of these, so definitely go check that out. And speaking of Jiro, as we have been doing, we are going over the promo cards that we received, and so I would like to do that with all of you. So let's take a look at this Blood Scent promo card.
Whoa.
With Jiro on it.
Very rainbowy.
Yeah, I love it. Look at that.
It's so good.
Right? Very, very shiny. I love this. Gorgeous. Okay. Hell yeah. I like it. We received these for backing the Kickstarter, and we got the box. You can check out the first video that we did reviewing the fourth blade to see kind of what that whole box looked like, etc. Obviously, you saw a clip of it in the beginning when we talked about the promo code and etc. But we will move on to the Deathblood Sorcerer, so you can see the main art a little bit closer, and obviously, as we have seen in literally every other case, so I'm almost certain it will be in this one as well, there will be a card with this art on it, as well as, ooh, this art.
Whoa, that's a very different art.
So cool. So, notably this one, so we've had a couple, the last couple of decks that we've reviewed have been 3 out of 5 complexity level.
Yeah.
Intermediate. This one is 1 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
And considered one of the beginner style decks.
Interesting. I mean, with the complexity of this art, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, this art is sick.
Do you think this is blood?
Yes.
Do you think it's viscera?
I think it's blood, yeah. If it's a Deathblood Sorcerer, I assume it's like a blood type magic of some kind, yeah.
I thought maybe it was just a demon.
Oh.
And this was its mouth or something.
Sure.
But no, I guess it is just blood.
Yeah, I think it might be blood, like, made solid to, like, kind of attack you with those teeth or whatever.
And, like, weirdly, magically controlled.
Yeah, and we'll see that, I guess, as we get into the deck and read about it, and etc. So, for example, speaking of reading about it, it says, get ready for the fight of your life. Forget everything you know about collectible card games. In Varia, there aren't any minions to protect you or walls to hide behind. You raise the shield, you cast the spell, you swing for the win with your weapon of choice. If you want to control the whims of life and death, you'll have to master that magic yourself.
That sounds like a lot. I'm going to say no thank you on that one. Just because I feel like that's kind of hard. But you know what? It's 1 difficulty, so I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah, beginners can do this. They can master life and death.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. We'll leave that back there for all of us to look at in the background.
If he can do it, you can, too.
Anything you can do, I can do better. All right, let's see how we do. We have not had much success with these, unfortunately. Come on. Come on. Yes! Nice. We did it! Thank you, Deathblood Sorcerer. It's probably the only time he's ever heard that. Oh, thank you, Deathblood Sorcerer. Yeah, I imagine that's not his life and how that goes. Although, maybe
But
I'll
he
be...
has mastered life, though, I heard.
And death. Maybe I'll be proven wrong when we read about his lore.
Wow, that's so pretty.
It's really awesome looking. This scythe, I'm all about it. Look at it.
I really like the light behind the scythe.
Okay.
The background.
Like way in the background up here and on the side there.
It's just like, it gives it so much more of like a magical essence to it.
Okay. I mean,
No,
it's
just like, it has like an aura.
Okay.
You know?
I'm curious, maybe we'll find out, but I'm curious to know whether the magic that is imbued in this scythe comes from his arm or is affecting his arm in that way.
Interesting.
Right? Chicken or the egg kind of a situation. I'm also intrigued. I assume that the two item cards that we will get at the end of this deck will be the scythe and whatever this little spirit-looking thing in a jar is over here.
Oh, no. Let him out.
Well, we'll see what might happen if we let him out, if that is a thing that is doable.
Okay.
I imagine that it would be something that our opponents would not appreciate. So let's find out. So if we look on the other side, Toldemir.
Oh.
Okay. Toldemir has lived for so long, he has forgotten who he is, where he came from, and why he carries on.
Whoa. That sucks.
He keeps himself alive with a potion that regenerates his failing body, though not his mind. So I guess that's what's on his hip, is that potion.
But why would you do it then, though?
As a young man, Toldemir had a son who died in a mining accident. The reason I didn't answer you is I assume this will answer that question. The grieving sorcerer attempted to master death itself so as to bring his son back to life, casting ever more dangerous spells as his desperation grew. For an instant, Toldemir succeeded, and as he hugged his boy again, time fractured around them. Their reunion, all too brief, came at a terrible price. A god of blood and death, Koro, returned to the cosmos, bringing war to every realm. Toldemir remembers none of this, and so his quest continues.
What the fuck?
Holy crap, Toldemir!
I mean, shit got real quick.
That's amazing. Again, right? We've seen this kind of story before, but not with this devastating results. But we've seen Liliana in Magic the Gathering try to bring her brother back, and that ended poorly for her and him.
Sure did.
We tried to see, oh God, help me. Alphonse and, what's his brother's name?
Edward.
Thank you. Alphonse and Edward tried to bring their mother back, and that ended very poorly for both of them as well.
Yes.
That's from Full Metal Alchemist and or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, whichever you prefer. And now we're seeing it here. And again, this one seems to be the most brutal of all of them.
Yeah, this is an age-old story, right? But, yeah. This really takes it to another level.
Yeah.
Because holy crap.
A god of blood and death.
And he forgot why he was doing it in the first place. So
No.
He keeps on going.
No, I think it's saying that he forgot that he actually brought his son back briefly, and that he released Koro. Not that he forgot why he was doing it.
Well, but in the beginning it says he doesn't know why he carries on because he can't remember.
Oh, good point. Yeah, interesting. Very weird. Well, let's check out this blood spine barrier.
Jesus.
That's a great name. And it reminds me of the blood-brain barrier, which is an actual thing that human bodies have. Very interesting.
It's a great thing, actually.
It's super important.
It helps keep infections from reaching your brain.
Yes. And actually,
as quickly or as to such a terrible result as they could.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting, right? This deck seems like, especially with this first card, that you're going to be paying your health points to amplify your spells, as you can see here. Mm-hmm. You can pay an additional 2 health in addition to its cost. If you do, it's considered amplified until end of turn. And then, so at the beginning of the moment, if this action is amplified, treat it as an attack instead of a block until the end of the turn. And with the pluses that it gets, +4 a D6 plus 4 and a D4 plus 4. That's like very impressive to me. It's a magical block life, or it can be an attack life if you've amplified it. But I like that it shows his failing body, right? They talked about his body is failing. So yes, he's using blood magic, right? So that's part of it. But also his body is failing. So he's slowly dying anyway.
Yeah.
And so he's like speeding up the process a bit, which I'm curious, maybe the potion that he has, if that is the item, in fact, at the end, if that will heal him in some capacity so that he can keep spending health points to keep amplifying these spells.
This is a fascinating art. I'm trying to figure out what this yellow is. Like, do you think that's just the ground? Do you think it's like lava?
So
do you think it's like...
I definitely don't think it's lava. I don't think it's the ground either. Because if you look underneath him is a darker color that's not in conjunction with the blood spine barrier. And if you look like over here and over here, there's darker colors as well that looks like what the ground actually is. My guess is maybe with this blood spine barrier that there's like a shockwave kind of coming out, or like dust.
Oh, like energy shooting off?
Like I said, or dust from that area kind of being shot outwards away from him. Like if it's like a desert type environment.
Or like a light.
Sure.
Even.
Sure. From the actual spell itself, as opposed to the blood portion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Notably, not that this is a negative, but we've talked about this a lot. I feel like a lot of times with these magical cards, right, with the frames being the blue and the purple, we often talk about how the cards, the art on those cards matches those frames really well.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that.
But the yellow next
Contrasts
to the purple is gorgeous.
Yes. Yeah. So it still works with it. It's just, I'm so used to magical card frame arts being joined with art that is bluish purple or, some form or fashion of that. And this is one of the ones where we're not actually seeing that. So I wanted to mention the contrast there.
I also wanted to mention the fact that since this is one of the magical ones and it's got a purple frame, it's interesting because a majority of the ones that we've opened have been the red frame first. Yeah. And then it goes to the purple frame, halfway through the deck.
Well, and yet this is a sorcerer, so that makes sense, right? He's not, he's got the scythe, but otherwise it would make more sense for him to have a lot more magical abilities than physical abilities.
Sure.
Because he's so frail looking.
Sure. And if D&D can be any kind of an indication, I know that a scythe is not the best weapon for close combat.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more next week. But your druid character that you played in one of our D&D games had a scythe, and I did. It was not great.
Yeah, I'll say that in past tense because I don't think we're necessarily ever going back to that game.
We will see.
Maybe
life
one day.
Life is a hell of a thing, especially in these current times.
Yeah.
So, but also interesting. We talked about this in the Boreal Ranger review, the last episode. But this first card is not the main deck art or deck box art, which I feel like more often than not at this point. I thought it was every other time besides the Ranger, but I guess now I'll just say more often than not, it feels like it is the first card that we see is the kind of title art for the character, and this is not that here either. So we have more than one of those. Whoops, there he is, and more than two of those. So now we have Reaping Tongue.
Yeah.
Which is a great name. I love that. And here's more of how this works. So we had a magical block life was the last card. This is a magical attack death. And it talked about mastering life and death, so I like that quite a bit.
And tongue is the name because there's a skull at the top.
With its mouth open.
And then the actual scythe part is the tongue as it were,
which
I
is
guess.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
As the living desire knowledge of what lies after death, so too does death crave a taste of what it means to be alive.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Wait, read that again.
As the living desire knowledge of what lies after death, so too does death crave a taste of what it means to be alive. In fact, I believe that might be a typo. So too does death crave a taste what it means to be alive.
Yeah, it should be of what?
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Regardless, I love the message. That's awesome. And so interesting because, I mean, look at this guy. He's definitely like a step and a half away from just being the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The big scythe, the like bony ass arm that he's got going on there. That's really cool. And I like that this card benefits you if you've lost health this turn. Because it's an attack, which means you're probably, like, you're less likely, I would imagine, to play this on your opponent's turn. You're going to play this on your own turn. But most games, you would imagine, you would not be losing or trying not to lose health on your own turn because you're more often the aggressor on your turn. But with cards like Bloodspine Barrier and assuming that there are others in the deck that allow you to amplify spells by paying health points, you will then lose health points. And so you get the benefit of this getting +2/+0 and reach if you lost health points this turn.
Wow.
Which is really awesome. I like that quite a bit. And again, I mean, the art's amazing. We talked about that already because it's just so sick. And this, I guess the glowing aspect here maybe matches a little bit with the sides, kind of.
Sure.
Ooh, 3 of those as well. Okay.
The same general color scheme.
Yeah.
It's interestingly pastel.
Okay. Yeah.
So like a picture that's supposed to be essentially of the Grim Reaper, the color scheme, other than his cloak, is pastel. Every color.
Very bright and light and etc. Yeah. Interesting. And then, of course, we have this nightmare fuel, which is amazing. And actually, we get to see more of it than the back showed us, because the Father Geek approved symbol at the top here that you can't see because it's too far back, sorry. Or too far forward, I guess. This symbol up at the top here, Father Geek approved, was blocking you from being able to see this face.
Let me get closer so I can see it a little better.
Amy always loves, in like magic, when we do like magic stuff, Amy always loves like the horrors and the goblins and the fiends and stuff.
And the devils.
And the devils, so you like this one too?
Yeah.
Oh, this one requires you to pay 3 health points.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. If this action is amplified, it gains an extra power die and an extra focus die until end of turn.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's why you got to pay 3 health and 4 action points to use this thing.
Yeah, this deck is great.
Magical Attack Life. This is sick. Really, really cool. Okay. And there's more than one of those. I would not have been surprised if it was a one-off because it seems very powerful. And instead there are 3 of them. Wow. Okay, and so now we see that the health point being spent actually occurs in the cost as well as then for amplification. And this is Toldemir's Sanguimancy. Precious blood, grant me sight beyond this broken vessel. This is magical occult life.
Wow. What?
God, that's awesome. That's so cool. What do you think of this one?
I don't even know what to think.
There's ironically a gigantic...
confused by this art.
There's like a gigantic, what looks like a blood moon in the background, which is hilarious to me and seems very appropriate.
Okay, so it looks like casting this spell creates this rune of basically an eye.
Okay.
Where the pupil is bleeding. I think.
Okay.
And then it sort of creates this like barrier of energy that goes in either direction up. And so everything that's red in this picture is red because we're seeing it through that sort of barrier that's been created by this spell.
Interesting.
So cool.
Very, very cool. I agree with that.
I love the background.
Yeah. I was commenting on that blood moon. It looks amazing.
The moon is gigantic. And then you've got like the trees. Like there's like cypress trees. And then there's like some type of leafy ferny thing over here.
Sure.
There's this big, huge, gorgeous castle. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like Euro-provincial kind of almost.
Okay. That's all you. I couldn't tell you.
Which is typically depicted with that sort of color scheme.
Okay.
Of like a white background, and then the pictures that are the provincial pictures are in red.
Okay.
You know, or in blue. Those are like the colors that you see it in.
And this is kind of a dark
like
blue at the bottom here.
Or something like that. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Very
It's
interesting.
very interesting. But this is like a very sort of medieval castle back here. It's like, or not even really medieval. It's like Renaissance-y almost.
Okay.
With all those like very pointy points.
Spires and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
Very cool.
I also like, you talked about the energy kind of coming off in both of these directions.
Yeah.
I like how his arms are kind of pointing in those directions as well. Whether that is due to the nature of him casting that spell, or if that's just how the artist drew it, because that's the kind of the symbolism that they were going for, is the kind of underarching motion there.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta look into that a little bit and see if there's actually a place that looks like that has a castle that has that many points.
Okay.
And is that beautiful and big, and also has cypress trees and what looks to be like dirt road paths and things.
Okay, sure.
On what could be like farmland.
Right.
Or just, grassy plains, hilly areas.
I also, of course, appreciate sanguimancy. It just is the magic of blood. It's just, that's what sanguimancy translates to, is blood magic. So, because sanguine, meaning blood, and imancy or mancy or whatever, referring to magical studies, which is really awesome. There was only one of those. Now we have Dreadbolt.
Wow.
Holy crap.
These arts are incredible.
So
What am I even looking at? There's like a bunch of skulls.
Yes.
Vomiting lightning.
Yes. Down on 1 point. Yes. It says, and thus the fabled city of Sulvalmir became a smoldering pit known as the Grave.
Jesus.
It is a magical attack, death lightning.
Yeah. It looks it. Damn.
You can plan this action as if it had fast, as long as you have 10 or less health points.
Wow.
So it cares about you having a low amount of health, and then it allows you to cast this. This seems cool as hell as well. Like I said, I really hope that potion, if that's a thing that we get as one of our items, heals us. Because what you learn when you play card games like Varia or collectible card games in general is that your life total or your health total, if it is a health-based game where you're reducing your health points down, your life total is a resource. And that is super clear in this particular deck because it's allowing you to utilize it as a resource. But what I mean is you know, if it's a different Varia deck that you're playing that doesn't allow amplification, or you paying for your spells with your health points, your life total is still a resource. Your health pool is still a resource, because you may be attacked by a card and you may have a block that you might want to play down against that attack, but it may be more strategic for you to wait and deploy that block later on, or something like that, to prevent yourself from dying to one of their alpha strikes or something like that, like one of their big attacks. And so you're like, well, I'm at 30, my 30 starting health, so I can take 5-10 damage. And that's okay, because if they're going to try to hit me for 15 later when I'm at 15, I'm going to need this block at that point. And so that's another way that you learn that your life total can be a resource. But this deck, interestingly, in a beginner's style deck, is just showing you that your life total is a resource through its own mechanics, without even, like, you know, it's not like the card at the beginning that was included that gave you the lore told you, like, your life total is a resource, use it to... No, they don't have to do that. The deck itself, through its use, shows you that your life total is a resource. This card wants you to have 10 or less health. That's a little bit dangerous, right? You're in your lower third of health, but it gives benefits to cards like this when you are that low, and you can kind of learn to be comfortable in that realm of a life total.
Well, he needed to, you know?
Yeah.
He's got to use potions to keep himself alive.
Or he might become the Grim Reaper, as we are surmising.
Yeah.
He is slowly, and or not so slowly, delving into being the Grim Reaper, which is amazing. And there is more than one Dreadbolt. Okay. Then holy crap.
Oh, what the hell?
Calamity. Time is like glass. Any imbecile can break it. Only a master can mend it. Quote from the Sultan of White Sand.
Wow.
That is amazing. I mean, the flavor text leads you to believe that it is time that is shattering, but I would argue it's even reality that is shattering, and it's just blackness in the background. There's just nothing else back here. I mean, maybe those are stars. It's hard to tell. It could be just shards of glass,
so, yeah.
like, you know, glass, but reality. That is incredibly awesome.
I like that quote a lot, because it's like, you know, you and your, like, selfish desire to bring back the one person you love.
Sure.
Whereas everyone else has to deal with the fact that their loved ones are dead.
Sure.
And you're selfishly trying to be like, well, I don't deserve this, right?
Right.
And then, you're the imbecile.
Yeah, and a master would know, like, you know, if you're going to mess with time, you need to do it for the right reasons or in the right ways. Or maybe a master just knows you don't mess with time.
Right. I mean, I know you don't mess with death. I've said that multiple times on this channel.
In many
on our
videos.
Video game channel.
Hell yeah.
You don't fuck with death. You just don't.
Yeah.
You just don't. Because it will bite you in the ass tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah, Amy has definitely, that's definitely a big theme with whether it's our Magic the Gathering content on this channel or, like you said, our video game stuff over on Video Games for All. Check the links in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This art is insane. I love it so much. Like that, just that motif of it, everything shattering like that. Yeah. Is incredible looking. And I'm sure...
The textures, the colors, I mean, it's just insane.
And this is a little bit further away from us so that, you all can see it as well. I'm sure that if I pulled this up real close to my face and looked even just like in this general area here, I'd see a lot of like cool details that I'm not getting from a distance, but that require like some time to like look at them and take in all that minutia, because that's really, really awesome. So
yeah, it's and again it's very pastel in the color scheme, which is not what you expect to see in a Grim Reaper blood sorcerer deck. You know, you don't expect to see all these pinks and aqua, you know.
Yeah. So, okay, this is very interesting to me. Now that I'm seeing it a little bit closer, because I did just pull that one up closer to me. So, it looks like our main character, Toldemir, is here, right? You can see the white hair and the white beard.
Okay.
He's just facing this way, right? So you can't really, he's not like facing us, right? Which means to me that this character is probably his son above him, like almost on his shoulders, right? But this is terrifying, whatever it is, up there. Just a big, like, Cthulhu-looking monster thing.
Yeah.
That's probably not great. I can't imagine what these things are, these, like, green, devil-looking or demonic-looking things that very well may just be demons, but, or gargoyles or whatever.
The one at the bottom looks like a dragon.
Yeah.
And the one in the left corner looks different from it.
Right. And this here is, if it's a dragon, whatever it is severed, or it has been severed.
Yeah.
Because there's blood coming off of the back end of it here in the middle, trailing through what, I mean, there's this guy with his axe up, or this person with their axe up. So it's possible that that has happened, but it's also like right where the shattering is occurring. So maybe it's from the shattering that this thing is losing its head. It's unclear, but
it's hard to know.
Right. But I love how, like, above Toldemir's head, you can kind of see, like, blue skies.
Yeah.
It's like almost peaceful looking in that one spot. But then, of course, this is called calamity and everything's shattering and there's demonic figures and, you know, godlike beings of blood or whatever. Oh, in fact, that might be the god. What's his name that we learned about?
Oh.
Hold on.
That guy over there.
It's in the top left here, this Cthulhu looking thing. This very well may be Koro, a god of blood and death.
Oh.
I am going to say that that is who I think that is. Bringing war to every realm. Okay. And so then that implies that, like, these are the creatures that are being unleashed on the realms. And so we're seeing a bit of the war. And, like, this is that moment of tranquility between Toldemir and his son that brought about all of this. Wow. All right. Well, hey, I've been wrong before, but that's how I'm reading this card. And this
I love that it's called Time Chaos.
It's a magical time chaos. Yeah. Amazing. I really hope I'm right, because that's really what this seems like to me.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh my god. What the hell? Grasp of Manus More. Magical attack, primal death. D6 plus 6 on the power die, D4 plus 3 on the focus die, and it costs 6 action points.
Wow. That's just...
You are playing with forces you do not understand, Toldemir. A youngster such as yourself has no real knowledge of death and her desires. A quote from Manus More.
No.
This action costs you 4 less action points to perform, so only 2 as long as you have 10 or less health points. That would be so good. Wow.
This is incredible. I love the way that this is lit.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more contrast so you could, like, really see the claws, you know, and really see the bottom jaw and things like that. But it's pretty amazing. It reminds me of, like, Maleficent.
Okay, when she turns into the dragon or whatever?
And Sleeping Beauty. The way they lit those scenes where she was, like, essentially just green magic.
Yeah.
And different creatures and all kinds of things. The brambles and everything. It all had this, like, green light. And then was also black. You know? And it really does look very similar to this.
Well, and you mentioned Maleficent. This Manus More looks to me a lot like the like demon character from Fantasia.
Oh, okay.
The, like, giant demon that, like, comes out of the ground or whatever.
I never saw all of Fantasia.
Okay.
I only saw clips from Fantasia that they showed us, like, in music class in school.
Okay.
When they were trying to, like, be like, hey, it's cool to play these instruments that we're forcing you to play.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, it didn't work.
It did for me. I played instruments for 8 years. Anyway, anyway, we'll get to Kingdom Hearts eventually on our video games channel, don't you worry. And then you'll be able to see what that character looks like.
Okay.
I also really appreciate in the flavor text where he says, a youngster such as yourself. Because we look at this art and we're like, this dude's old as hell. Right? Like not old as hell, but like he's old, right? He's an older guy.
Well, he's clearly not old as hell.
Well, that's, nice. But that's my point, right? To us, he's old.
Right.
But to an ancient being who is a godlike figure or a demonic figure who's been around for centuries or millennia or whatever, we as humans have the kind of arrogant mindset of like, oh, well, we're old and wise, right? We are 70, 80, 90 years old. Meanwhile, this being that's been around for centuries is like you're a baby. Yeah, you are a baby and you will die before you become old or what is considered old, you know? So I always find stuff like that interesting where like, humans come in with their own preconceived notions of like, oh yeah, I'm old because of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you don't get it. Like, not at all. So yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. I love this a lot.
It's great.
More than one of those.
I love these like things that are flying up.
Because you can tell like he just burst out of the ground like that or whatever.
A lot of motion is created by that, despite the fact that it looks very like this man and this person even both look very still in this shot. But it doesn't matter because there's all this momentum that you're perceiving coming from him because all of these like pieces of trees are flying up as he's, as you said, like bursting up out of the earth.
Really awesome.
Very cool.
Ooh.
Wow.
Death rattle.
The texture that they've created here, it looks like a digital art.
Okay.
That very specifically and deliberately is meant to look as though it's not digital.
Okay.
Because of the texture. Yeah. I love the colors. Again, the pinks and the aquas.
Sure.
They really like leaned heavily into this. Even the last one, you could argue that that's really an aqua color.
Sure.
The rest of it is black. But really, that's a pastel aqua color.
Sure.
Like a turquoise. And then this one, I mean, how cool is that? Especially like that the robes are pale as well. Sort of gray beige kind of color.
Well,
that I guess that makes it look
you're talking about
like
his robes or the robes of the Angel of Death thing?
Angel of Death guy.
Well, I assume this is a statue. It just looks like a statue to me.
It looks like a statue. But then why are the wings black like that?
Sure.
And why is there a light behind it like that? And a light like in front of it like that?
Well,
like it's like a statue that came alive.
Yes, that was exactly what I was going to say, or was possessed or something like that for a brief period or whatever. Yeah, and I love, because it's a death rattle, right, which if people are unfamiliar, I doubt people are unfamiliar, I don't mean to mansplain, but for a death rattle is the act of like when someone dies, like the sound that their body makes. It's like the last sound that comes out of them as they die.
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, that's considered a death rattle. It's like the like rattling of your body as you die and you kind of take your last exhale or whatever.
Horrible.
Well, but that's why I appreciate that, because of what a death rattle is, and that's the name of this card, it is a magical attack, sonic death.
Oh, nice.
Yes, exactly. I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And it says, last words hold power only I have mastered.
Wow. Yeah, because think about that. If death was in fact a person, right, or an entity, they would be the ones who have heard all the last words.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and again, because this is the death rattle that can deal damage, because it's an attack, death is the one channeling that death rattle into a sonic death magical attack.
Yeah.
Really cool. And this one cares if you have 20 or less health points, then you get a benefit. Or 10 or less health points, it gets more of a benefit. And then 1 or less health points, and it gets more of a benefit.
Wow.
And notice it says, that's crazy that it says additional to me. So if you have 20 or less, this gets +3/+0. If you have 10 or less, it gets an additional +4/+0. So that's +7/+0 if you're at 10 or less. And gains ranged. If you have 1 or less, this action gets an additional, on top of the +7/+0, an additional +10/+0. So it's +17/+0. So that makes it a D6 +20 roll.
Jesus.
And gains, this action cannot be disrupted until end of turn.
Because it's death, man.
So cool.
Don't fuck with death.
It's so cool.
I'm telling you.
Amazing. Wow. And actually, you know what? I even like that even more now, because it's literally called Death Rattle, and it says if you have 1 or less health points. So if there's a way for you to play this when you're at 0, right, or something like that, or you're at 1, and so you're about to die, this is your Death Rattle. It's your way to try to kill your opponent just before you would die. Amazing. Then we move on to Acid Tsunami. Really sick. We have seen this already because we're on to, I guess, the generic portion of the deck. My God, this deck is cool as hell.
I just point out every single one of these has had a purple frame. Every single one of these has been magical attacks.
There's no physical attacks.
There are no physical
attacks. I mean,
attacks.
it makes sense. Like I said, look at him, right? He's not a very physical attacking type of a guy. And
he doesn't need to be. He's a
right,
sorcerer.
that's right. And magic classes in, like, you know, different pop culture areas or areas of media, whether it be Dungeons and Dragons, or we have, as some people may have seen in these past videos, we have that Hero Quest game system in the background. Like, the wizard doesn't attack. It's not what they do, right? Like, they could technically hit something with their staff, but you know that if they're doing that, things have gotten pretty desperate and they have nothing else going for them. So, yeah. But yes, Acid Tsunami.
Shillelagh's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's you imbuing your staff with power. So I guess that makes sense. Mnemoniturgy. Look at all those action points. My God. Memory is a blade that is sharpened by use. We have seen this card before. We've talked about it before, but it's still pretty crazy.
Do you think he's gonna get his memory back?
No. No, I don't. Because this is not from him. The person saying that is Brea Stone Soul Veteran.
She can help him.
She can help him get his memory back. I'm pretty sure we saw with this Death Rattle card that he kind of dies at the end.
Damn it. I thought maybe he'd get his memory back just before he dies.
We've talked about this before as well, but for all you metal fans out there, Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
Very nice. Flame Slash. Look at this dude.
Yeah, he's sick.
I love him. He reminds me of Super Mario a little bit.
Really?
I don't know if I said that the last time. I may be making the exact same joke.
He reminds me of a different character, but I can't remember from what.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he looks very cartoony, right? With the like, he's got like the exaggerated nose and all that.
Evil, and he's like, he just looks like he's just excited to set a village ablaze.
Well, yeah.
You know? Like, that's his thing.
Well,
That's
and
what he excels at.
And again,
is setting places on fire.
Yeah, and again, we talked about this the last time, right? The flavor text. Got a problem that needs fixing? Try a flame slash. Invaders keep stealing your livestock? Flame slash. Pesky rat eating all your grain? Flame slash. Village elder on your case? Flame slash. Quote by Jasper, Emporium Curator. Very cool, and there's more than one of those. We have Windwalk, which we saw in the last one as well. Which, again, quite cartoony, considering all the, like, death and destruction and whatever that we saw in all these other arts. Ah, there's one. Air Blast. That's better. We saw the origination art for this in the Boreal Ranger, the last deck review that we did last week.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we reviewed this one after that one.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
that was the first time we ever saw this Air Blast.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that this was a card that we would see in other decks.
Yeah.
Yet it's a
makes
card
sense.
that we're seeing in the deck we review right after that one.
Look at that. We've had that we've had that happen a couple of times now, which I find really cool and interesting.
Yeah.
Like when we read the thing in the Boreal Ranger, it mentioned the Psychic Fencer, who we had just reviewed prior to that. So yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, because there's a true randomness to how we are filming these, the
Yes.
order
Oh,
that
yeah.
we are filming them in.
Oh yeah.
And so the fact that fate is kind of playing into that is really cool.
Yeah, big time. So we have the Frost Foil again. We've seen this multiple times now. Crow's Piercing Fang, which we've seen this in many decks.
Yes.
But the fact that this makes you pay health to play it works well for this deck's strategy. Right? So it plays into it even more. I like that. We have Enza's Absolution, which we have seen before, but I think it's been a bit. But really, really cool. I like that you get to, if this action is not an attack, choose one. Remove all stacks from yourself or remove all stacks from one of your allies. We have not, I feel like, seen many cards that do that. And so this is a great way, if you're playing against a deck that like gives you or is trying to give you stacks, it would be really nice to have this in your deck to be able to prevent that. So that's really good. And especially in this deck where your life total is so important or your health points are so important, you wouldn't want to be bleeding where you're losing health points on a consistent basis because you need those to be able to spend to like play and or amplify your spells.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
The question is, if you were bleeding, would the absolution help?
Of course it would. We absolve you of your bleeding. Such a weird phrase. Arcane Barrage. We have seen this one as well, but God, it's gorgeous.
So sick.
It's so good.
The art is just
Beautiful. Here we go. Time for the items. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Weapon item Scythe Staff. The Wraithbone Scythe, which is considered a magical attack death. And if you lost health points this turn, this action gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This carved bone staff has an undead spirit bound to its surface.
Oh.
So I was slightly off. I said it was in the jar.
I think the
it was-
potion's in the jar.
Yes, that's what I eventually got to.
Right.
But when I first saw it, I was like, oh, he's got a spirit in a jar. Nope, he's got a spirit in his scythe instead. The imprisoned wraith's spectral tongue probes the air, searching for souls that are near death. Because he is the Grim Reaper.
Tasty.
Gross. Gross.
Nothing like the taste of dad.
Am I seeing this right? It looks like it's like wrapped up at the top, right? Because if you look here, right, the whole thing is glowing all the way down. But here, it's not. So it looks like the handle may be wrapped, or at least the top is, preventing it from going all the way down.
I don't know.
Very interesting. And there's just a skull there randomly. And Pickled Troll Eye Potion. So here is the potion that we've been hearing so much about. And yes, at the beginning of the moment, you regain 2 health points. And at the end of the moment, you discard a card and ruin Pickled Troll Eye Potion. 2 parts swamp water, 1 part troll eyes. Allow mixture to sit overnight. Enjoy responsibly. Wow.
So I guess that's what keeps him alive, is the troll eye potion.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to have more than one of these, right? Yeah, hell yeah, I knew it. I knew you had to have more than one. Oh, God. That's perfect. Yeah, I love that there's more than one. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because it's multiple drinks out of the same potion that way or whatever, but it still allows you to ruin this one because you've consumed it all.
Right. Which just means you need to kill more trolls, I guess. Or at least take their eyes.
Nice. Well, and the absolution lets you remove stacks from items, so I don't think that actually fixes ruin. I could be fully wrong there, but hey, look, we have fatigue and molten. We've seen this in every single one of these, but it's not irrelevant. So there you go. Oh, there's only one because there weren't. This deck doesn't really give stacks, which again kind of shows more important that like one complexity, that beginner style. There's not stacks to keep track of against on your opponent or on you or whatever. This is just kind of you run your race. Don't worry about your opponent. You just try to kill them really quickly and move on.
Just do your thing, baby.
And then again, as we end, always we have the cut out and assemble D6 and D4 or power and focus die.
Yeah.
I mean, this deck was awesome. I have to say my two favorites so far, and we have not done the Druid yet, but my two favorites so far have been the Phoenix Spell Sword over here and this one. Really, really cool. And you know what I find interesting is that those are lower complexity, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas in season 1, the original decks that are kind of up at the top over here, right, all along the top.
The black ones.
Yes. One of my favorites, if not my favorite, was the Sixth Blade, which was very complex.
Yeah. I think the Sixth Blade is the most difficult of the
it's right here.
black decks. And I think...
this is 4 of 5, so very, very close to the most, but if not the most.
Yeah, because I don't think any of them were 5.
Some of them had to. One of them had to have been. I'm not going to turn them all around to look, but regardless... But yeah, I just find that very interesting that like the one difficulty or complexity in the Deathblood Sorcerer and the low difficulty of the Phoenix Spell Sword contrasting with the Sixth Blade for my interests is like really cool to me. So I appreciate that. Yeah,
for me, this one's definitely my favorite.
So cool.
Yeah, the Phoenix Spell Sword was pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
And I expected the cleric one to be my favorite because it was a cleric one.
Yeah.
That's but fair. No, it's definitely this one.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. The story, the art, the like flavor of it all. So far the best. Like I said, we have the Stone Root Druid next week, and that will be our last one, by the way. So truly, if you've been watching these videos and you're interested in getting these decks for yourselves, especially now that you've seen what we think is the best one, if any of these or all of these seem intriguing to you, definitely don't forget to check out that link. It's been there at the bottom of the screen the whole time, so I'm sure that you have not forgotten about it, but... don't forget to actually go, right? You may think, okay, well, they'll be back next week. I'll see what next week's is. And we'll remind you again next week, but don't put it off, right? Because you want to be able to get those pre-orders in before they go away and before this offer goes away. So don't forget to use that code GEEK4ALL for 10% off your purchase. And that's at guildhousegamesllc.com/shop. And of course, if it needs to be said, thank you so much to Sean, to Ant, to the Guildhouse Games team over there.
Lovely people, truly.
Very much so. And I mean, amazing products that they're putting out, them giving us the opportunity to review these, giving us the...
It's a blessing. Truly. Yes,
and to give us the code that we get to give to all of you so that you get some discounts, and we let them know that, you know, this is a worthwhile relationship to continue, because God knows I want to. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's really an honor.
Yeah.
Like we just are couldn't be more grateful.
That's right. And so obviously thank you to them, as we just said, but also thank you to you. Thank you to you so much if you're watching this video right now for watching. Thank you for watching each and every one of these that you have. We would love to hear your thoughts about anything relating to this deck at all, or any of the decks, in the comment section down below. That's what it's for. If you want to know more about us here at Geek for All, check the description down below. Obviously, like I said earlier, I was not joking, despite my joking mannerism in saying it, but please don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. It is actually super helpful to us, but also to you, because you will get notifications whenever any of our videos come out, including the final review next week for the Stone Root Druid, as well as, obviously, any other Varia products that Guildhouse Games would like us to review in the future. You will find out about that as soon as it happens. So, thank you all once again for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, so do I. And you mentioned if people want to know more about us, to check the description. Also, check out our streams, because if you pop in chat, you can talk directly to us about anything you want. So.
That's true. We are live on this channel every Monday and Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Mondays, we play Magic the Gathering Arena, so if that's your thing, we would love to have you. Even if it's not your thing, you're more than welcome to just come and talk with Amy. Amy's not always paying attention to the games regardless.
Yeah, mostly not.
And that's totally fine.
And like I said, you can talk to us about anything you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of what we talk about is not whatever it is that we are doing at the time.
Yes.
That we are streaming.
Yes.
So.
And then on Fridays, we play whatever video game we happen to be playing at the time. We have recently been playing through X-Men Legends for the PlayStation 2, the original. So if that is something you're interested in, come join us on Fridays, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. So thank you all once again. We really appreciate you all being here. Again, in addition to all that other stuff that we mentioned, liking and sharing this with other folks that you think might find it interesting. Also super helpful to us, and we really appreciate any and all support in those ways that you are willing to give. But for now, from us here at the Geek for All family of channels, I've been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.